Hello, fellow Star Trek fans. Welcome back to a brand new episode of 10 Forward, the show where myself and the wonderful Jodie Pickens deep dive into the latest episodes from the Star Trek franchise. Jodie, how are you doing this week?
You know, I'm recovering from this week's episode, is what I'm doing.
It's a heavy hitter, isn't it, this week? It
really
my
is. Goodness. You know, they just keep swinging and they,
they're not missing.
They're not missing. They're knocking it out of the park every episode. And, there's so much to talk about in this one.
Absolutely. So, I sat there this morning going, 2 left after this.
2.
Where the hell did that go?
I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared to. Yes, it's gone too fast, and that's a testament to how good the show has been, and how they just keep giving us stuff to talk about.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss these. We love having new Trek. That's what we love.
Yeah, of course we do. I mean, that is the thing, isn't it? New Trek is the best part of the week.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, then, with that in mind, then, let's not waste any time and let's dive into Season 1, Episode 8 of Starfleet Academy. The episode is titled The Life of the Stars. The episode opens before dawn with the Doctor recording a personal log. And this one's not routine. He's thinking about time, how much of it he's witnessed, and how quickly young cadets burn through theirs as if it's endless. The Academy is built on first chances and bright futures, but underneath it all, he hears the ticking clock. Terima has returned to campus, but not to the War College. After the Miyazaki incident, she's been transferred to Starfleet Academy for her safety. And she now wears a retrofitted mood stabilizer, technology which is designed to help her regulate her emotional intensity. And is meant to protect her, but it's also a visible reminder that she didn't come back unchanged. RK and the Doctor both know the deeper issues remain. The cadets, they have not processed the incident on the Miyazaki. They're brittle, sharp, and, kind of hiding behind jokes and silence. They need help. Just not the kind that feels like a punishment. So RK brings on Lieutenant Sylvia Tilly, and Tilly arrives with relentless optimism and a plan that, let's face it, sounds absurd until it actually makes perfect sense. Theatre. Leadership through empathy. Learning to stand inside someone else's experience. And the cadets groan. But Sam is thrilled. Tilly assigns them a semester-long project. Choose a play. Inhabit it. Live inside it. And as RK quietly admits, it's trauma counselling without calling it trauma counselling. The room assignments shift. Sam and Genesis are already roommates, and now Terima joins them. Sam throws herself into the research, devouring plays from every century and every culture, and she explains them all at full speed, determining to map the emotional history of the universe. And for a moment it works, and Terima laughs, this time a real one. And Sam immediately asks her if this is the first laugh she's had since coming back, and Terima's face closes. Sam apologizes, but it's too late. And they turn away in an awkward silence, but in that pause we see Sam is hiding. Small glitches, subtle system stutters she refuses to acknowledge. In RK's office, an opera duet plays on her old Victrola. Tilly reunites with Jet Reno, and their banter is light, but the subtext isn't. Starfleet helped them survive being flung 900 years into the future, and now they're trying to pass that resilience on. Caleb attempts to check on Terima. He asks how she's doing, and, she just won't meet his eyes. What am I supposed to be looking for, she asks, cutting through the careful concern, and he doesn't have an answer. Back in Tilly's class, the cadets pitch plays. Jaden suggests a Klingon opera composed mostly of murder and sneezes his way through the presentation until Tilly sends him to his quarters under quarantine. Then Sam proposes Our Town. Small town, ordinary people, no spectacle, just the quiet ache of realizing that everybody's moments are the whole point. And she calls it kind of a hopeful defiance, and Tilly immediately agrees. Roles are assigned. Sam as Emily, Caleb as George, Genesis as George's mother, and Ockham as stage manager. Tilly names the episode themes outright. The life of the village against the life of the stars, and she asks Terima what that actually means. Terima answers clinically and emotionally distant, and, well, Sam can't bear it. She challenges Terima's interpretation, but that's it. Her glitches, they're spiking, and her voice stutters, her system locks down, and she collapses. In sickbay, the doctor is shaken and angry. The repair patch has been failing for weeks. Why didn't she tell him? Sam doesn't have an answer here. Scans reveal the truth that, well, since the Miyazaki, her processes have been overloading and resetting in an infinite loop. He doesn't know how to fix it, and Sam suggests taking her back to Cask, where her makers might be able to address these. Arcade decides, well, at once. She and the doctor will escort Sam there. And Sam leaves without saying a proper goodbye, but leaves some gifts behind. She gives Terima the role of Emily, and she buys Genesis a new toothbrush to replace the one that, well, she accidentally dropped in the toilet. It's tender and, well, unmistakably Sam. On the shuttle, she explains that time moves differently on Cask. 5 years there is 3 minutes in Earth days. The Doctor recalls living a lifetime, as we saw in the Voyager episode Blink of an Eye. Sam asks him what it feels like to change your mind and to fall in love. And has he ever been in love? And, well, he deflects. Her emotions spike again, and, well, the glitches worsen. And she's ordered to rest. She insists she's fine and then quietly puts herself into sleep mode. And RK watches, realizing the Doctor hasn't been what Sam needs. Back at the Academy, grief twists into something reckless. Terima, well, she's drunk. She kisses Caleb and, well, pushes for closeness. And he stops her and calls her out for it. She lashes out, accusing him of fearing over volatility. And he leaves shaken. Later, Genesis helps Terima back into the room. And Terima admits that, well, her stabilizer makes her feel, managed and not whole. And she misses that control. Genesis tells her that they're becoming new versions of themselves. And Terima calls Genesis a port in the storm, but says she can't be that for everyone else. Back on Cask, the makers meet with a massive geometric structure in space. They ask to swarm Sam to enter her systems and her memories, and she agrees and asks the Doctor to hold her hand. But he can't. A tear slips down her face as the makers dive into her memories, her music, her joy, and the Doctor demands answers as her systems destabilize further. Well, the makers finally conclude that, well, she's too damaged to repair. So they terminate her, and that's it. The Doctor breaks. He sits behind her body and confesses what he's never said. On Voyager, he created a holographic family, and his daughter died. And when Sam called him a mentor, he saw that daughter again. He kept his distance to avoid loving someone he might lose, and now he takes Sam's hand and apologizes. The makers explain that Sam's evolved beyond her design, and, well, she built herself through experience, but never deployed resilience. No childhood, no gradual exposure to fear or grief, and essentially the Miyazaki has shattered her. RK proposes something radical. Give her a childhood. Let her processes grow through lived experiences, and the Doctor resists. He admits that the only way he'd survive in eternity is by refusing attachment, and he calls himself a coward. RK tells him to stop narrating life and actually start living it, and he agrees. He will stay. He will raise Sam. 17 years pass on Cask in just weeks on Earth, and the Doctor raises her from infancy to adolescence. Back at the Academy, the cadets honor her by performing out of town, and they finally stop pretending. They speak honestly, and even Terima returns to the stage. And then Sam comes back. And she and the Doctor step onto the campus together, and she hugs her friends one by one. And the Doctor watches, openly proud. Time is elastic. Time is brutal. And a life can be 17 years or 2 weeks or 209 days, but it can be ordinary and cosmic at once. And it would be a tragedy not to live it. So I tell you what, Johnny, there's a lot to unpack here. So let's start with the Doctor. I think for me, see, the first half, I kind of hearken him to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in this episode. The first half of he's, well, practically a jerk. It's the only way I can describe it. He's being an absolute dick towards Sam. And actually, I was getting really, really frustrated and angry with him because it's like, Doc, you're better than this. We know you're better than this. We had this 7 years when you were aboard Voyager. So why are you being such a dick?
And then it really has been such a contrast to what we knew him on Voyager and even what we saw of him in Prodigy. So it's and we talked a little bit about this, but like we have seen from the beginning of this series that he has been pushing people away. He's standoffish, and the contrast they gave him in this episode was powerful.
But I'm glad that he broke, as it were. I'm glad that we now understand why, and that, you know, it's that time he had with Belle when Belle was dying in that episode on Voyager really took its toll. And I think the fact that him being afraid of that is so well thought of. And actually, it's almost the perfect side to this story, because now we get it. Now we understand why. And I think anybody that suffered from loss, especially if a close family member, will fully understand this. That, you know, if you got somebody coming in that fills the role, as it were, you're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna enjoy it. So, yeah, I just thought it really frustrated me. Starting with going, oh, come on, Doc, you're way better than this. What are you doing? And now we've actually got it. Actually, no, this actually makes perfect sense. And actually, I'm really glad that the story happened the way the story happened.
Oh, sure. I love too that, you know, we've got a callback to 2 really impactful moments in the Doctor's in Voyager. And I think, you know, that combination of using that holographic family that he created and that B'Elanna tweaked so he'd get a more realistic experience, and then I mean, come on, B'Elanna was always messing with the Doctor, but this was a powerful one. And then, you know, the fact that he lived in a lifetime on that planet where time was accelerated, but was only gone from Voyager for like 18 minutes. And I just think those experiences were such a powerful part of the story. But then we have this wonderful parallel between the Doctor, who has lived like, 800, 900 years. And then you've got Tilly and Jet Reno, who were thrust forward 900 years. And this parallel between the two of them, like you have those two who are trying to build connections and impact people. And you've got him who's pushing people away because he doesn't want to get attached anymore. And I love that Sam really is the catalyst. Yes.
She also calls him out. She says, you are not the mentor I need. In the shuffle, she physically calls him out. And you can kind of see RK kind of take a step back going, like, what's happening here? You're right.
Yeah.
And then
I love that
practically calls him out on it as well.
Yeah. I think, you know, obviously Holly Hunter's done such a great job in the series, but she's so good at making the character realize things quietly. You know, we see that as just an expression or a tilt of a head, and those kind of micro expressions really are powerful in this series.
Absolutely. And do you know what? I am so glad that one of my favorite Discovery actors is back.
Come on.
Tilly is back. I love Tilly. Mary Wiseman is an incredible actor, and I'm just so glad we get...
There's never enough Tilly.
No.
Never enough Tilly.
Never enough Tilly.
But I love that she was back in this way of, you know, Ake called her out for being, you know, she went through the academy. She's the closest they have to someone who's a recent cadet.
Yeah.
And I love that she is in this role not only as a professor, as an educator, but she's also there to kind of help shape and guide them as a counselor. And I think that's such a Tilly role because that's who she was on Discovery, just as a crew member.
Yeah. But I mean, we spoke about this a little bit earlier. It was a case of that she literally has been there, done it, written the book. You know, she starts out on Discovery as a cadet, you know, 3rd year cadet, then all of a sudden is being flung into a parallel universe under Captain Lorca, then coming back, being promoted to was it lieutenant? She got lieutenant junior grade. I think she got promoted.
Yes, yeah,
first.
I think so.
Yeah. Then then she's coming in as a lieutenant junior grade. Then Saru makes her his first officer, the first officer. Then she has to go through that whole headache of bossing everyone around that's bigger and older and more experienced and higher rank than you. Then to be flung 900 years into the future and then deal with that. I think I don't think there's anything Tilly hasn't done.
No, that's what's so beautiful about it.
Jet Reno.
Yes. And I love that, we got to see the two of them together in Ake's office and even the nod.
Just
when
the whole,
Reno
good
says,
to see you, Reid,
good job, Reid. I love that. Come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just wonderful. And the parallels, this episode is heavy with the parallels and I love it for it. And Tilly, fantastic.
Well, the episode parallels the play.
Absolutely. From the beginning to the end, not just literally, but we are seeing the Doctor at the beginning. He's the stage manager. And at the end, it's Ake on the bridge of the Athena as a stage manager. And that role so critical throughout of that play being referenced and used, not just literally amongst the cadets performing it or trying to study it and figure out their own trauma and emotions, but just how they shape this episode. And I love to, again, I know I said this just before about Sam being a catalyst, but Sam is the catalyst of this episode. She makes the cadets, finds the play that's going to help them heal the most. Yeah. She has to bow out and gives Tarima the role of the lead female in the play. And I think, that's by design too. And, not that we wished for Sam to lose her initial life, but I do think Sam 2.0 is going to be something to be reckoned with.
She comes back aboard the Athena, she doesn't seem her usual naive self.
Right. There's more learned experience.
Experience, a bit more confident and a little less naive. And I'm going to be really interested to see how that plays out in the final two episodes. Because we've now got this, this cadet that a week ago was 210 days old, super naive, super friendly, super bubbly. I loved the bit when they first start talking about theatre, and then Tilly just turns around and goes, favorite.
I mean,
and I get why. And it was just, I don't think she's going to be that version of herself anymore. So it's going to be.
I think there'll be hints of it, but yes, I think we're going to see a more grounded Sam, and I think probably and maybe even more relatable Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. I
have to give a shout out since we're talking about the play, but Jaden's proposal of the Klingon opera and it being murder and blood and more murder and more blood.
It's Klingon
and then sneezing.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It was just, if we're going to have a comedic moment, he delivered it this week.
Absolutely.
And that was.
So Tarina's back.
Yes.
Kind of damaged Tarima. She's not her usual kind of shy self. She's very shy. I think she's even more shy and even more closed off. And as she has said a couple of times in this episode, she doesn't want to be the ghost person. And I understand that, and it's definitely tough walking into somewhere like that and you suddenly being the center of attention because you're the one that did what you did on the Miyazaki, and you've now taken time off. But I think it is an interesting choice that she's then been pulled into Academy. I think it's an interesting choice that she's got a completely bespoke uniform. No, none of the other cadets got that uniform.
Right.
And I think I'm going to be really interested to see how the Caleb relationship pans out, because I think the reason it's worked so far is the fact they're not on top of each other all the time, as in not physically, but as in metaphorically.
Right. Yes.
Whereas now they are going to be seeing a lot more of each other, and they're going to be forced to be seeing a lot more. Whereas before they had a choice whether they wanted to see each other. Now they don't have a choice because they're in the same classes. They now have the same friend group, and I think that's going to be really interesting to see how that pans out as well. Whether she's going to stay this kind of, withdrawn person, or whether she's going to kind of not get over it, but kind of evolve through it and push through. So
Well, it's interesting because they all came right this week. Really, like trauma was the lead-in, and how people deal with that differently.
Yep.
And we saw that out of all of those first-year cadets, but also, I mean, specifically with Trima, because she was such a big part of, ending that Miyazaki incident, and everybody knows it. And like you said, all eyes were on her and wondering a lot of questions.
But I wonder if there's fear there from the other cadets.
Well, of course, I think some of that has to be in play. Yeah. I mean, she has powers on like anything we've seen, and probably anything they've seen.
Yeah.
With the Academy being, freshly revived. So I do think there's a lot of question around her, and I think she's figured out a lot in this one episode, but I do think there's a lot more, obviously, of her story to be told.
No, absolutely. And then we also get to see this kind of broken side to the cadets.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, it kind of took me back a little bit when you have, you have RK and the Doctor in the atrium. They've just finished talking to Terima, and then the camera pans to, I can't remember his name now. My brain is George Hawkins' character.
Darren.
Darren, thank you. Turns to Darren, who's literally snapping somebody's head off because
for no reason.
The fuse is now this short, and then we cut to a bridge simulation, where they're all just screaming at each other, and no one is
falling apart.
The team, and they're all just shouting and having it out with each other. So, there's still a lot of emotions running high here. I think there's still a lot of unresolved issues. So yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how now they've gone through this kind of play, and they kind of played through it, as it were. I'm going to be interested to see how this kind of pans out.
Yeah, I am too, and I think again, another thing that made this episode so powerful was allowing them to display the realities of what grief and trauma and just these big feelings and change can impact us, and how the daily minutia can just seem so ridiculous. Yeah. And that's such a human relatable characteristic, right? Yeah. Like we just get that. And so I think they did a great job of showcasing that, but I do think like this bond they had of working through this together through Tilly's class, of their shared concern over Sam and what her outcome was going to be. I do feel that we're going to have a stronger bond between them. But they're young, and this is their first year at the Academy, and so there's a lot more to come. And we know there's a big baddie out there still lingering, and we don't know what's going to happen there. So there's a lot of story yet to be told in 2 more episodes.
Well, that's it. Yeah, 2 more episodes. It's going to be interesting to see how everything kind of ties together and how they end it, because there's still quite a lot of storylines left unraveled right now. So,
right.
Because obviously we've got the early storylines of Caleb and his mother yet to be resolved. We've got poor Giamatti's character. I can't remember his name. I'm not really doing well for names today, am I?
That's not even my strong suit.
No.
It's no, now I can't remember.
Oh, well, fudge muffins.
The bad guy.
The bad guy. Hang on.
The bad guy.
God, I'm fucking not having a good day, am I? God, my lie.
I rely on you for the names, Mike.
Noose Baraka, because I kept thinking of Noosetifer, but I kept thinking of Lucifer, and it's like, no, it's not. It's Noose Baraka.
That's
we've obviously got that whole storyline with Noose Baraka. We've got what happened at the Starbase, for the Miyazaki episode. What classified tech was stolen. So I'm going to be really interested to see where all of that kind of fits in.
Yes.
But yeah, so far, I think this season has been something quite spectacular, and I'm really looking forward to see how they wrap it up.
I am too, and I before we wrap things up here today, I just want to shout out to Gaia Viola and Jane Maggs, who wrote this episode, and then to Andy Armaganayan. I don't know. I'm saying that wrong. I'm sure. I apologize. But he directed the episode. And this is one that's going to, I think we've said this before about a couple episodes this season already, but this is a rewatchable episode and it's meaningful and powerful. And it just really pushed some of our characters, to the next level. And that is perfect Star Trek.
Yes. Absolutely.
So bravo to the team that put this together.
Yeah, absolutely. So then to recap this episode then, The Life of the Stars isn't just another episode of Starfleet Academy. It's a quiet, devastating meditation on time, grief, and the ordinary moments we forget to value until they're gone. By framing the cadets' trauma through our town, the show does something bold for Star Trek. It, slows down. It trusts silence, and it lets the characters sit with loss instead of rushing past it. Kerrice Brooks, she is absolutely phenomenal here. Sam's breakdown is subtle, is layered, and it's painfully human, even though, she's not human at all. She plays the glitches not as a kind of spectacle, but as fear, disappointing people, fear of being broken, fear of not being enough. And when Sam returns after 17 years of growth, there's a softness and steadiness to her that feels completely earned. This is her, coming of age story, and Kerrice Brooks owned every second of it. And Robert Picardo reminds us of why the Doctor remains one of the franchise's most enduring characters. His anger, his guilt, and especially his confession about the holographic family he lost carries an enormous emotional weight. And watching him choose to stay to raise Sam, to risk attachment again, is one of the most powerful moments of the season. This isn't just character development, this is legacy. Mary Wiseman is equally as outstanding as Tilly. She brings heart, humour, and almost a kind of disarming sincerity to every scene. What could have felt whimsical, theatre as therapy, becomes deeply affecting because, of her performance. She grounds Tilly's optimism in genuine empathy, showing us a mentor who understands that leadership sometimes means helping people feel before they can actually function. And she's warm without being soft and funny without being undercutting the pain, and absolutely essential to how this episode works. And what could have been a simple sci-fi conceit about accelerated time becomes something far more meaningful. 17 years on Cassie isn't a spectacle, it's parenting, it's resilience, it's learning how to live with pain instead of being defined by it. The cadet's performance of Our Town mirrors Sam's journey beautifully. Ordinary life, everyday tenderness, and the realization that the life of the village and the life of the stars are not opposites, they're intertwined. And this episode proves that Starfleet Academy can deliver intimacy as confidently as action, and it can handle grief, philosophy, and theatre without losing its Star Trek heart. And by the same time Sam walks back onto campus, not glitching, not hiding, but whole, you understand something simple. Rebuilding the future doesn't just require strength, it requires time and the courage to love anyway. Thank you so much for joining us here on 10 Forward. Remember, you can catch up with more of us here at the Clonestar Podcast at our website, clonestarpodcast.com, on all of the socials, and our Patreon links are in the video description below. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as that bell icon, so you get notified when we next upload. But that's all we have time for this week, so remember, be brave, be bold, and to boldly go.